Well guys, it's spring here in Minnesota, if you can call it that. We've still got some snow on the ground, as you might be able to see in the background, but I'm going to be working on some spring projects here a little bit early this year. I've got the boat trailer out here, and I'm going to start sanding that boat trailer down because my plan is to paint it this spring here. I want to have it be a gloss black color, and so I'm going to do some sanding here today, and then I'm going to wait for a warm day so I can go ahead and paint it gloss black, make it look nice. The trailer has started to rust in the last couple of years, and so I really want to get ahead of that and prevent that from rusting. So I've got some Rust-Oleum that I'm going to be using to cover that trailer up with. You can see that the trailer's kind of a gray color right now, not the nicest looking thing. So we want to spruce it up a little bit, make it look nice, because I'd like to hold on to this boat for a couple of years. And then once I finish working on this boat trailer, I'm going to turn my attention to the boat. I've got some plans for my boat to mount a bow mount trolling motor on it and maybe even build a casting deck here this spring. So stay tuned because we're going to be working on a lot of projects here. Alright guys, I got a fun little project I'm going to be working on over the next few weeks here. I'm outside, I'm in the yard here. I've got my boat here. It's a 1968 Crestliner 14-foot aluminum boat, and there's a lot that I'm going to be doing to it over the next few weeks. I've already sanded the trailer. I have put a new winch on the trailer as well. I've got new tires ordered for it. I've got new lights that I'm going to wire into the trailer as well. So I'm going to paint this trailer and make it look good. And then I've got the boat here as well. There's a few things that I want to do to the boat. The front bench seat just kind of rotted out, and the aluminum supports also are just no good anymore. So I ripped out the old aluminum supports. Today I'm going to start by re-riveting new aluminum supports. I'm going to put a new bench seat across the front, and then I'm actually going to work on building a casting deck up front as well. I'm going to carpet that. I want to make it a nice little casting deck to have up front so that I can operate a bow mounted trolling motor up there. So I'm going to walk you guys through how I go about this little build here. It's just going to be a pretty simple one, but at the end it should be really functional. I want to use this boat and continue to be able to enjoy it for several years yet to come. Got new aluminum supports here to hold the front bench seat in place here, and so as you can see, I've got holes in the boat here already drilled. I drilled out the old rivets, and I'm going to be replacing these supports here, and then that's going to hold the bench seat in place. And then from there I'm going to lay a sheet of 3/4 inch plywood across the top of that as well, and then carpet that. So that's going to kind of be the foundation for our casting deck. I'm going to have to kind of find some way to support the casting deck in the middle with 2x4s, and just make sure that, you know, it's got some support in the center as well. So I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do that yet, but this is how we're going to start. So let's see how this goes. We've got some Loctite marine epoxy that we're putting on the rivets to seal them, make sure that we don't have any leaks in the boat here. Definitely don't want to have a leaky hull because of this project. So we're going to seal it, we're going to put these rivets in, then we're going to pound them in place. So we've got the hammer here. We're going to put one hammer on the outside of the rivet. Make sure it's in place. See that well. Let's try and see if I can just pound it flat. So up to this point in the project, things have gone considerably well. I wasn't too sure about drilling into the hull of the boat to be able to attach the aluminum framing that would support the front bench seat. But after having done it, just kind of taking a risk, never having done a project like this before, I feel like it turned out pretty well, and I feel confident that that will remain waterproof and that those rivets will not leak. So the next dilemma that I was faced with here in the project was to find a way to be able to cut the plywood that would be used for the front casting deck, and to get it down to the right shape to fit the hull of the boat. And so I came up with the idea that I would just find a big sheet of cardboard and just kind of continue to cut it down to size against the shape of the hull of the boat until it kind of fit, and I could make a template to be able to use to trace onto the plywood, the 3/4 inch plywood that I'd be using for the casting deck. And so I made a template for the casting deck and then also the front bench seat, and it ended up working out pretty well. I was able to get a template that fit really perfectly in size. Okay, our next step is to cut out the shape of the casting deck here. Yesterday I just purchased a 4x8 sheet of marine grade plywood that's 3/4 inch thick. As you can see, there's a piece of cardboard here that I'm using as my template to cut out the casting deck from. Yesterday I shaped that piece of cardboard down to fit the hull of the boat or the front of the boat, and just kind of being able to use that shape and just kind of continue to cut it down to size until that piece of cardboard fit. And so now we're going to use that template to trace the shape of it onto this plywood, cut it out, and then we're going to hopefully fit that piece of plywood into the front of the boat and have that serve as a casting deck. That's the plan. I'm hoping this works out well. We'll see. After cutting the shape of the casting deck using a jigsaw, I found some 2x2s lying around, and I used that to frame the center of the casting deck for support. I just didn't want that to flex at all as I was standing up there in the front using my bow mount trolling motor. And so that worked out really well. It was very solid, and then from there I finished the top and bottom of the casting deck using spar urethane to just seal it in and make it waterproof and really prevent rot. And so from there I was able to use some Henry exterior carpet glue and some marine carpet that I had ordered online, and I was able to glue the casting deck down to the carpet and then staple it down and finish it. And it turned out really well. It was a perfect fit, and I was really pleased with how it turned out. At this point in the project, I had already sanded the trailer weeks ago, expecting a warm day to be able to paint, but it just hadn't happened yet. And so I turned my attention to other projects. I was able to build the casting deck, carpet that, and fit that to the hull of the boat, and I was able to get that secured into place. I was also trying to figure out how I could get a bow mount trolling motor mounted at the front of my boat, and the old piece of aluminum sheet metal, the little triangle at the front of the boat that I could use to attach a trolling motor, it had lifted from the old rivets, and so I had to re-rivet that into place. And so I did that, and then I added the trolling motor. I got a Minn Kota Power Drive 55-pound trolling motor that I added. And so I really wanted to be able to stand up in the front of the boat and be able to cast. I like to do a lot of musky fishing, and so that was going to be key for me. And then I also added these new trailer bunks. The old ones had just kind of rotted out, and so I cut and finished and carpeted new trailer bunks as well. Finally, got a nice day to paint. And so was able to get started on the painting project. I used Rust-Oleum topside marine coating, and that's what I used in gloss black to finish the trailer. The gloss black paint that I added to the trailer really breathed new life into this trailer, and so I was really pleased with how the project turned out. Between the new coat of paint, the new trailer tires, the new winch, the new lights, the new bunk boards, it really ended up looking like a new trailer at the end of the project. So if you guys liked this project, if you have any ideas of future things that I could do to this boat, I'm also thinking about painting it, but if there are other things that you guys think that I should do, please like, comment, subscribe, tell me what I should do to this boat next.